Hey guys, I hope that you are all doing well today. Michael here, of course, with Gaming for Immersion. And when I hit 4,000 subscribers yesterday, I wanted to make a really quick thank you video, but also, nothing but a thank you video is a little bit dull. So I decided to maybe add to it a little bit, do something a little bit different. And so what I came up with is I thought I would spend a couple of minutes talking about some of my favorite YouTubers who I've been watching, relying upon for the last few years, who are maybe not some of the bigger, more well-known YouTubers out there, and maybe even possibly, hopefully, generate some kind of a discussion. So if any of you have any additional, maybe slightly less well-known YouTubers that you'd like to add to the list, I hope that you will put those in the comment section. Certainly what I'm going to cover here is not a comprehensive list at all. I could probably go on and on and on, but I decided to pick three of them that I find myself going back to time and again. So what do I mean by this list? Well, like I said, a little bit less well-known YouTubers. These are not your Legends of Total War and your Great Book of Grudges. Don't get me wrong, those guys are absolutely brilliant. I watch them a fair amount as well, although I don't tend to watch Legend as much as probably most other people do. I think Legend is an absolutely fantastic player. He just plays the game differently than I do, which most of you who watch my Let's Plays know about already. Great Book of Grudges, again, really great. Cult Master of Sotek, really great. There's a lot of really good YouTubers out there that provide some really good content, but the ones that are gigantic, 100 times my size, they don't really need any kind of a shout out from me. Not that these guys need a shout out from me either, because all of them have bigger channels than I do, but hopefully you get the point is that I just wanted to call some attention to some of the ones that I particularly like that I think are probably a little bit underappreciated. So one just sort of a caveat in terms of what I'm talking about, YouTubers that I appreciate. I'm going to take a step back and talk about gaming philosophy for just a second, which is most YouTubers are always creating guides that are all about the meta way to play. How to exploit the AI is a big one. What mechanics are the absolute best. And one of the things that I like about a couple of the ones that I'm going to talk about here are these are YouTubers that I can watch that feel like they're not all about the meta. And then one of them actually is going to talk all about the meta, but I really enjoy his videos anyway, even though I quite often not only don't play the way that he does, but I also disagree with an awful lot of his takes. I still think that he provides an awful lot of value to the discussion about this amazing game. Okay, anyway, I think that's hopefully enough of a preamble. You all probably get the idea. And let's go ahead and just start to jump into some of these examples. Now, I don't want to, I'm going to show just a tiny little bit of a clip from each of their different channels to show you what I'm talking about, what it is that I like about them. But I don't want to show very much. First of all, they deserve, anybody watching their videos, they deserve for it to register on their channel. So if you have any interest in these guys, please go check them out on their own channel. Hopefully they won't mind my showing just a few moments of some of their videos just as an example to show what I'm talking about. So in terms of YouTubers that have made me a better player overall, the first one that I'm going to talk about is a guy named Enticity, who the first I heard about him was a few years ago when he was very heavily involved, I think, in multiplayer. He may still be. I don't tend to watch multiplayer, battles. I like him because he does these short and sweet little tips videos like this one right here.
It's a pretty minor debuff, all things considered, right? But you can see how quickly he gets to winded. So if you don't have any vigor replenishment, like from a solar engine, he's already going to be looking a little bit worse for wear, right? Slightly less effective. That's like 3 chevrons that the solar engine gives just by providing vigor. You charge a couple more times, now he loses 10 melee attack and more speed, and very rapidly with more charges. Suddenly, Only 4 minutes in, right? He's at minus 11 speed, minus 16 melee attack. That's a 16% chance to hit. Gone against single entities.
These tips videos tend to only run for a couple of minutes each. They go into immediate detail on exactly what his point is. He doesn't waste any time. He often shines light on some, I don't want to say hidden mechanics, but maybe mechanics that aren't as widely appreciated. And although you could make the argument that it's all about meta, I don't see it this way. This is all about making everybody a better player. I'll try to distinguish a little bit later what I mean about the meta and what I don't necessarily like about the meta. But anyway, I feel like just watching a handful of videos from Enticity has given me good ideas about how to become better in terms of fighting battles. The next one that I want to call attention to is Elven plot armor. And again, this is a YouTuber that I started watching a few years ago when Warhammer 3 actually first came out, back before there was an Immortal Empires. I remember watching some of his videos that were basically, you know, a really, really good tutorial on how to play as Kislev, for example, and he had some really good ideas there. My only complaint about Elven plot armor is I wish he'd put out videos every day, but that's just, you know, not everybody can do that, obviously, and I'm somewhat tongue-in-cheek there, but I think his videos are really good. He does a great job explaining things. As you can see, he goes into a little bit more detail here than what Enticity does. I'm going to show just a brief clip of one of his.
Thorgrim is the lord for you. He leans right into this deep mechanic, and also his start and his basic geography really allows him to focus on being able to build strong wealth in 2 key locations. I'm going to give you some really clear advice on how to manage the east, manage the west, as well as some army composition advice in 10 simple steps to dominate this campaign with a walkthrough for the first 10 turns.
So obviously here he is supporting his discussion with, you know, a little bit of added text to kind of help clarify exactly what he's talking about. Anyway, I really like his guides. He does a little bit more than just making guides, obviously, but that's probably what I've most appreciated from him. And again, I like the way he plays. He doesn't, you know, try to exploit the AI. He just tries to show really good ways to fight your battles and maximize your own strengths, so to speak. And then finally, the third guy, this is sort of a special one for me. The third one is Costin. And a lot of you may be surprised to hear me say that I really enjoy his videos, because those of you who are familiar with him probably know that, again, he looks at the game completely differently than I do. Costin is the one that I referred to earlier when I said he seems to be all about the meta. I don't want to speak for him, and, you know, please, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I get the impression that, you know, he equates good with powerful. He likes, you know, the races that have, you know, like really great mechanics in terms of really not having any weaknesses, for example. I'm going to play a little brief clip here of a video by him very recently, talking about what CA can do to improve the longer campaigns.
Another aspect to talk about beyond campaign objectives is the issue of climate. Climate is a significant limiting factor in Total War Warhammer. You can use mods to remove the climate penalties, but even that doesn't necessarily feel great, because it makes it meaningless to focus on certain territory when you know all territories are viable. There are some mods that do give you climate adaptation over time, but the timing of that, it makes it so that you're just spending a lot of time and effort still to make territory useful. You can make it useful, to be certain, in the long term, but it just takes a good amount of time with regards to that. So it's a balancing aspect with regards to...
Okay, and what he's talking about here is something that, again, I actually kind of disagree with, and yet I think his voice is really valuable for this discussion. Don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with everything he says. I actually agree with quite a lot of what he says, but when he tends to venture into discussions about particular campaigns, for example, he quite often seems to basically suggest that If it can't, you're playing the game wrong basically if you're not playing it in the meta way, in the min-max way. If you're not super aggressive and steamrolling your opponents, then there's something wrong with it. And obviously, those of you who are familiar with my channel know I don't play that way. I actually really like the way that Warhammer 3 Immortal Empires plays out in terms of making it your own sandbox. I don't usually try to steamroll at all. I try to use mods that slow down the pacing. I believe there's a whole lot of other ways to achieve fun in this game other than just being, really, really powerful and dominating as quickly as possible. Hopefully I haven't misrepresented anything that he said here, but first thing that needs to be said is he really, really knows his stuff. The guy must play Warhammer an awful lot because he really talks very, very proficiently about just about every single faction and legendary lord in the game. So I'm very much impressed by his knowledge. His opinion, his perspectives are really, really interesting. I think he does a really effective job of explaining them. And so like this one talking about the climate, I actually disagree with. I think that the regular game does a perfectly fine job of making climates meaningful. I don't like that. You'll notice that I don't ever use climate mods that in my Let's Plays, and that's because of kind of the point that he makes, which is you're kind of minimizing the impact of climate if you've got yourself a mod that where you know that you can in time turn all of your bad climate regions into good climate regions. And not only that, he sort of suggests that those mods are actually of limited value if they take very long to convert the climate over into a better one, because in his mind, the good part of the campaign is over very, very quickly. And again, as most of you know, that's not the way that I try to play. I like the campaigns that go on for a really long time. Again, so despite the fact that I disagree with a lot of what he says, I just think that he does a really good job of talking about that perspective. And again, like I said, I think he raises really interesting questions. He raises some sort of themes about Warhammer 3 that I don't think I would probably come up with in terms of thinking about them myself if he hadn't already brought them up. And like I said, he makes really good points. I just happen to disagree with some of them. Anyway, so there you have it. I was trying to keep this video under 10 minutes. I don't know if I've been able to do that or not, but I did, like I said, wanted to kind of shine a spotlight on some of the other YouTubers that are maybe a little bit less well known, guys that I think really add a lot of value to the community. And I would encourage everybody to go check them out. Also, any of you who are seeing this video, if you have others that are a little bit less well known, then please feel free to add those in the comments down below. I'd be happy to always check out more. In fact, I'm always discovering more thanks to the YouTube algorithm that recommends certain videos. I'm constantly seeing new ones from other people. I don't tend to watch other Let's Plays. I know that there's some other really good YouTube, I shouldn't say other. I'm implying that I'm on the same level as some of the other guys that do really good Let's Plays, and obviously I'm not there yet. But there are definitely plenty of really good YouTubers who do Let's Plays. I just don't tend to have the time to watch very many of those. If I have time to focus on Warhammer, I prefer to be playing rather than watching somebody else. But despite the fact that I just said that, I hope I didn't just convince anybody to stop watching my channel. All right. Anyway, if you're still with me, thanks again for everybody who has commented or liked videos or even watched videos in this journey so far. I've only been around a little bit more than a year, and I certainly had no idea what to expect. I'm quite pleased to have found 4,000 of you so far, and I appreciate every single one of you. If any of you want to support me, I did mention recently that I've created a Patreon page. So please feel free to check that out, but absolutely do not feel like you have to. I know that there's a lot of value in YouTube as a free platform, and so this is basically just if you really like my content and you've got a few extra bucks laying around, I would certainly appreciate it. But all right, again, Thanks everybody for helping me reach 4,000. Here's hoping that I can make it to 5,000 and maybe hopefully even beyond. Anybody has any suggestions, not just for other YouTubers, but anything else that you'd like to see on the channel, please feel free to mention that as well. And I think I'll go ahead and leave it there. Thanks everyone for watching and listening to this video, and I will see you all in the next one.